Welcome to the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. I am your host, Chad Hufford, and this is the podcast where we celebrate the unsung heroes of the working world. Each week, we dive into the incredible stories of honest, hardworking folks who have found financial success through grit, determination, and good old-fashioned elbow grease. So if you're ready to be inspired and learn how to turn your hard work into your own success story, you're in the right place. This is the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. Well, we are back with another episode of Blue Collar Millionaire Show, where we empower everyday people to do extraordinary things through mindset, discipline, and intentionality. And I've got a good friend, somebody I've known most of my life, Tim Tillman. Grew up going to church together, and your travels have taken you, like we were just talking about before we started recording, down to Chicago, thankfully now back to Alaska.
Yes.
Relatively recently retired, just been a few years now, but you've got, I think, a lot of wisdom to share with our audience. So Tim, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here for the conversation.
My pleasure.
So you just were telling us you've been retired about 6 years now from FedEx.
From Federal Express. Yep.
And previously that you had a guard retirement about 14 years ago?
Yes, 2011.
Okay.
That's correct. So those careers ran,
concurrently for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were you with FedEx?
33 years.
33 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At what point in your career, Tim, did you start thinking about, like, wow, I got to start thinking about this life after FedEx, life after the guard? Like, was there a turning point moment?
Yes. There was a seminar that FedEx did about their RSP, Retirement Savings Plan. And so my wife, Julie, and I both went to that, knowing that, it looks like I'm going to be at FedEx now for a while. Started out, I was a part-time driver, and I thought, this is a temporary thing. But there was, our daughter's cancer mixed in with that along the way, which kept me at FedEx. And that was the plan, obviously. And so we both realized we needed to be at that. And I remember the Dow was like at 3,300. 3,300, not 33,000.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That would have been like, 1991 or something, I think. 1990. Yeah. So, yeah, that's when we started investing, and FedEx was doing a fantastic matching plan then. So we're going, well, we got to do at least the 6% to get that matching. And then when we can, we'd go to 10, and then every once in a while, Julie, my money manager, I married a banker. So she said, we got to back off that for a little while so I can get this and pay this off. And yeah.
So in about how old were you? I mean, it's been like early 30s?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
And I just wanted to point out something you said, just so we don't breeze past it. Because I remember, that was about when I met you, when Sarah was going through cancer and all that. So you think about a guy with a lot on his plate. You had two jobs at the time.
Yeah,
guard job, FedEx, raising a family. Your daughter's got cancer. You talk about somebody who has an excuse to not plan for their future. You had plenty of them. You had a whole bag full of them. A lot of times we will hear, especially with some of the industries we work in, like oil and even law enforcement, they're volatile industries, and people will tell us, Chad, you're trying to get us to think about 20 years in the future. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm gonna have a paycheck in 3 months. As soon as this project ends, I'm on this rig. I don't know what life looks like. And, right now there's a couple oil companies making a bunch of cuts. But I want, first of all, applaud you, but also just wanted to stay on that for just a moment, because one of the things that we talk about a lot in this office is, very few people would say their future is not important, or planning for it is not important, but it rarely feels urgent.
Yes.
Something like, I could do this next month, next week, and pretty soon 5-10 years goes by. So do you remember, with everything going on with your family and life at that time, what was it that created that sense of urgency?
Well, it's probably my dad, my upbringing when I was a young guy and learning the power of compounding interest, and how important it was to, regardless how little you're getting, put just a little bit aside over there tuck it away. So, yeah.
Well, and I like that too, because I've been thinking about this idea of stewardship and faithfulness. And there's a verse in the Bible that says it's required of a steward that one be faithful. And it's not what you did one day. It's the little things that you did every day that made the difference. So even though you were in a tough situation on so many different levels, and you said, Julie, it gave you some pressure, like, we can't quite be this aggressive, but you stayed with the habit.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't able to do as much as you wanted, you were committed to the habit. And you said that kind of came from your father telling you that even if it's just you put a little away, you just have to start the process.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I was getting money in my pocket, like from a paper route, it was, 10% to the church, right? I mean, that was right off the top, first fruits. And then 50% into savings. And then, okay, there's what you have to play with. Yeah. So started that early. I mean, I was 13 years old. Yeah.
When I wrote my book, we interviewed several hundred folks from the oil field, and I asked them similar questions. And it was amazing, Tim, how many times people went back to conversations or at least a season in their childhood where that's when it started. It wasn't after they got the nice job or they got the nice benefits package. Like it starts so young, some people in their teens, some people even earlier than that. But for a lot of people that we come across they have a good relationship with money, a good relationship with their future.
Yeah.
That light bulb started to turn on as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't say there weren't times when I strayed from that in between leaving the home and probably starting at FedEx, because I moved around a little too, worked on the slope for a while, for a year and a half, and 2 on, 2 off kind of a thing, and I guess I'd have to ask Julie if we were banking much then, but I remember more about trying to keep up with the credit cards, because that compounding interest works both ways.
Yep. Be your best friend, your worst enemy. Yep. Yeah. And there's a quote, I can't remember who said it, but basically, if you owe interest, time is your enemy. If you're making interest, time is your friend. But it's that same thing it absolutely cuts both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So early in your 30s, you started really taking control of your being more intentional, I should say.
Yeah.
And
very much so.
Like you said, FedEx has a phenomenal plan. I mean, still do. But you have to use it to get the benefits.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gym membership. You can't just sign up and not go in. It just becomes a fancy keychain. But anyway, at what point did you start seeing retirement, like it becoming real or being close enough? You're like, okay, like this is starting to be tangible. Like,
yeah, probably about the time I retired from FedEx, because I knew as soon as when I retired from the Air National Guard, because I knew when I retired from the Guard, FedEx was going to move us to Chicago. I'd already been doing that manager's job basically remotely, was traveling down there once a quarter to meet with my new enlarged work group I had. So I knew we were moving down there. So we started, doing the math, and we thought, we should be able to come back in 3 to 5 years. Well, it turned out to be 8 years.
8. Okay.
Because Chicago, boy, it's an expensive place to live just to get along. I mean, there's lots of things to do there that you can't do in Alaska. Like see the Cubs win the World Series.
Oh, you were down there for that?
I was there. Wow. Yes, 2015 we were there.
Did you go to any games?
We went to Cubs games, but we didn't go to any
Not in the World Series games. Okay.
It was too crazy down there. I was fine watching it on TV.
Oh, no, I bet. I completely understand.
Yeah. But, so that's when we started looking at it, and at what point, how much will it take? And Julie's really good with running the numbers, and here's what we got to have to get by, and then, prayerfully considering it too. So
you had you had an 8-year stretch there where you had retired from the Guard, still working probably more than full time for FedEx. So you retire from the Guard, you retire from FedEx. But one of the things I want to talk to you about, Tim, is what you're retiring to. And everybody knows what they want to retire from, but I think not enough time gets spent on what they're going to plug into when they've unplugged from their job or from their career. And we talk a lot about this concept of a job optional lifestyle where you no longer need your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You're still serving, you're still producing. I know that you and Julie have got into some really cool ministry things. Can you share a little bit about what you've retired to in the last 6 years?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was always our intention to travel a lot in retirement. So that's why we never bought a winter home. So we do get out and travel a lot, or a snowbird home,
Mm-hmm.
as many have. And one of the things we've kind of fallen into, it was a ministry that I became aware of from our church in Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago, and it's called El Ayudante, which translates the helper. They're down in Honduras, and they help very poor families, poor villages, mostly coffee growers. With they have an excellent plan, though. They look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and realize, we got to meet these people at their greatest need,
where they're at right now,
like sanitation and health for their
clean
children,
water
and clean water, right before they ever start trying to reach them at some higher level. So I really like the way it's set up, and all the people involved with it. They basically pay their own way through people that are supporting them. And so every dollar that comes in for El Ayudante goes directly to the people who need these. I mean, they're building homes. Some are cinder blocks, some are adobe. They're fixing roofs. They're pouring floors. It's amazing how the health increases just with having a concrete floor, not having a dirt floor. But yeah, and then building, they call them latrines. It's kind of like a glorified outhouse, really. But otherwise, it's going into this, what looks like a pristine mountain stream. Yeah, but just right upstream, a guy's washing his motorcycle, and all the kids are going to the bathroom. So it's really good to get these latrines built, and then water filters was a big one too. So we've gotten to after getting up here, I inquired about helping out. Was there another team we could join one week? And they said, well, what we'd really like you to consider is being team hosts. So what we do now is we go down there for a month. There's 4
in Honduras.
Wow. Yep. Comiagua, Honduras. There's 4 different teams that are coming mostly from churches, but there's also Rotary and others that come down too. And then we liaise for them. We liaise with the directors there, which frees up the directors' time because they're doing so many other things within the community. And they have a training center they've built there now, and a learning center for kids that are sponsored. We sponsor a kid there. And it's a great way to give back. And I think we really like it because it's so effectual. We see what they're doing, and that's really good. But then,
I just real quick.
Okay.
I know that you're doing other things too, but
yeah.
I just had a conversation earlier this week with my daughter, and I was just thinking of, as you were talking, there's a passage, I think it's in Matthew, when, God is saying, I was naked and you clothed me. I was hungry, you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. And the believer says, well, when did we see you naked? When did we see you hungry? And God says, when you've done this for the least of these.
Yeah.
You've done it for me. And I was thinking about that. Like, I mean, Honduras has a poverty that we cannot understand. Even the poorest people in America have $1,000 iPhone. A lot of them,
Yeah.
And you're just talking about basic needs like clean drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you involved with that before you retired at all? You said you were aware of it, but
well, yes, when we were still in Chicago. And then, no, I never did another trip after that. I think that was within the last couple of years we were there. But that same church we belong to still pretty much every year sends a team down.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But we jumped back into it. Well, once I inquired, that's how we jump back into it.
When you mentioned too that a lot of the missionaries, the people serving down there, are basically self-supported.
Right.
All
sponsored from their home church generally.
But for you and Julie, because of your financial independence, that gives you an opportunity to be able to serve.
Right.
And the donations going straight to the project. You guys aren't seeing any of that.
Right.
Because you don't need it. You've put yourselves in a position where you can serve.
Yeah.
And be really to be answering that call.
Right.
Not have to worry about work schedules. So
so we buy our plane ticket to go down there, and then we actually rent a small apartment there and pay for room and board for the 4 weeks that we're there. So
wow. Yeah.
Then even the directors pay all the utilities and the rent on their home that's there. So
what's the biggest lesson you've learned in serving down there?
Well, I guess probably count your blessings. Because man, like you say, we in America are so blessed. We don't even understand how people can live the way that they do down there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the people that are listening to this, it's almost unfathomable.
Yeah.
What still goes on in our world right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the the small cadre of police that are down there, there's so much crime, and the way people have to put up 8-foot fences with concertina wire around, those who do have a decent home, because otherwise everything will just be stolen. So there's a lot of crime. I think a lot of it is just people trying to feed themselves and feed their families. But and then you hear stories about the police there and the ones that are on the take,
corruption
and
wow. Yeah. I mean, just a dark place, but the world, I think, is full of opportunities. And just want to remind our listeners too, like it doesn't take, you don't have to go to Honduras, to be able to make an impact. And and I also want to point out too, for those of you, for the listeners that don't know Tim, I mean, ever since I can remember, you guys were serving in the church, serving in various ministries. So I think financial independence has probably allowed you to escalate that level of service.
Yeah. Yeah.
And give you more freedom. Is that, but it's something that's always been in your life. It's just now you have more freedom to serve. And you mentioned before we started recording, you didn't say it's exactly, but basically you're as busy now as you've ever been, but now it's on your own terms.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can say, nope, that's not going to work. We've got something planned, but it does seem that there's more and more people saying, well, since you're retired, maybe you'll be able to do this,
Yeah, Tim's got nothing better to do than my to-do list.
Right. He just sits on the couch twiddling his thumbs, watching MLB.
No, you guys, you've been a phenomenal example to me throughout the years, and just appreciate what you've shared here today, and just reminding people of the chance that they have to make an impact. So I think not only is it easy for people to get kind of comfortable and then complacent in retirement, maybe even a little selfish, but also I think at some point of not contributing, people start to wonder, do I have anything to contribute anymore?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think we probably could both sit and think of people that are like that, that have been on the sidelines long enough. They're afraid to even step into the game.
Yeah. And so long that people aren't even asking anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you and Julie, you've been on the field the whole time. So no, I just applaud you guys. It's been an honor knowing you for the last probably 40 years almost.
Yeah. Yeah. We just celebrated our 40th anniversary. So,
so it was, I think, shortly after you guys got married.
Yep.
So it's been 40. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
40 years.
Thank you.
Another nod to faithfulness.
That's right.
So, man, thank you so much for joining us and for being such a great example, Tim. It's an absolute pleasure and honor.
All right.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Millionaire Show. We hope this episode has been inspiring and beneficial to you. If you want help on your journey to financial freedom, reach out to us at veritasalaska.com. We'd love to sit down over a cup of coffee with you, either here in our office or virtually, and get to know you and your needs. And though this podcast is free of charge, we do ask that you please do us 2 quick favors. If you enjoyed the episode, give our pod a great rating on iTunes or whatever podcast platform you use, and also give us a follow on Instagram. We hope you have a wonderful day filled with gratitude and intentionality. God bless.